We have a saying in Spain that says food comes in through your eyes first. So when you see someone, the first thing you're gonna do is see if they seem attractive to you. For me, it's a switch. Either you turn me on or you don't. I think my biggest thing is someone who's passionate in general. Passionate about whatever he believes in, passionate about life.
Ken here, your host for the Manceptional podcast. Thanks for joining today. We have another conversation with a real life female, and we're going to find out, the real scoop, the things that we want to know. So thanks for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. My pleasure.
Okay, cool. So let's say you're in a bar, you're with your friends, 3 guys walk in. One is a super nice guy. He immediately gets you a drink. He's wiping down the table for you, and he's offering to go out and put more coins in your meter. Okay. Second guy, he's good looking bad boy. Maybe a fitness instructor, has a tattoo, but really he just wants to get in your pants, right?
Okay.
And there's the third guy, just normal looking guy. He's nice, not super interested, but it's because he's getting ready to take off on an adventure trip through the Moroccan desert. So he's kind of preoccupied and he's got stuff going. Now, which of these 3 guys, if any, would you find interesting if you're just sitting there? They came up on you and walked in and sat at the table next to you guys.
I mean, honestly, I'm usually not very interested in guys in bars.
Okay. Well, we could change the venue. Let's say it's a restaurant, or it's a.
I have to say that I think the obvious answer is the one going on an adventure in Morocco, because that's my style of person, of going in adventures, or and that's what I do. And I think you need to find someone that matches your activities. However, I would match the nice one to one of my girlfriends, and I would make sure that the one who's being, cocky gets his ego lowered a couple of notches.
How would you do that? Just ignore him? Or
No, I would totally welcome him to the conversation and make sure those guys are not used to having anyone respond to them.
Challenge them, you mean?
And challenge them, yeah. So I sometimes enjoy playing what I call verbal tennis.
Verbal tennis, okay.
Yeah.
So what, you're going to serve like a 100-mile-per-hour serve at them, or volley back?
They don't see them coming, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, the thing is, in our culture today, so much, like when you read about dating or what have you, it revolves around looks, right? I mean, everything revolves around being in shape and the cool hairstyle and doing all that. There's this Newsweek article that said 150 women they surveyed said that a man's attractiveness comes down to perceived strength, height, and lean body type. They're not saying anything about personality. It's less physical attractiveness. So is that not true, or is it just, how much of that is true? Oh, and what about personality?
Well,
how do you weigh those things?
We have a saying in Spain that says food comes in through your eyes first.
Food, and I think what's that?
Food comes in through your eyes first.
Oh, okay.
So when you see food, the first thing you do is look at it and see if you want to eat it or not. I think it applies to everything.
Okay.
So when you see someone, the first thing you're going to do is see if they seem attractive to you. And there's a study that also says that depending on where we are with our period, we're going to look for someone who's more manly or more nurturing. So,
jeez, are you kidding me? I got it. So take that into account too.
So if their jaw is more, squared, or if their jaw is more feminine, or it depends. But for me, I need someone who's more manly than I am and who's way taller than I am, because I have a pretty strong personality. So at least, basically, I need them to, in a way, have certain qualities.
Okay.
And it's true that there are certain qualities that to me mean softness in a man, physically.
Like what? Like what would be softness?
Yeah, if a man is not taking care of his body, I do take care of my body.
Okay.
So if someone is not taking care of his body, it one means that he's not active, and I do want someone active. And two, it means that usually there's a softness to his persona. Oh. And
does that include grooming too, which we'll get into? I have some grooming questions, but even if
not necessarily, no.
Okay.
No, does not include grooming. It includes more. It has to do more with the posture, the way they carry themselves, and if they're that match onto body mass. Meaning, like, it doesn't mean someone who's just chubby, but that on top of their body posture and everything else.
Okay. Yeah. So what was there something on that same survey I was mentioning? It says, this is funny. Overwhelmingly, women thought the strongest men were also the best looking, and preference for tall, lean guys. It says women, therefore, have mate choice mechanisms that respond to ancestral cues of a man's fighting ability. They're saying it goes back to the kind of the crocodile brain where a man is going to fight and defend against, animals or other men or whatever. So maybe that's the visual cue through the eyes first, right?
I guess so. I do like nice arms. For me, that's a huge thing. I love nice arms.
Nice arms.
The fighting thing, I don't know, because since I do Krav Maga, the last few guys I've dated, one did yoga, the other one did rowing, I think. So it really depends.
What does nice arms mean? Does that mean, there's the bodybuilder type, and there's
no.
There's the athletic type that has there's a different body build for athletic function, gives you a different type of build than weightlifting.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily like what I call the boa constrictor. I don't like someone who, when he hugs you, you're scared that, you're going to die in your sleep.
Okay. I've never heard that, but okay.
No, I just mean toned, that you can tell the fibers, or that, someone who does rock climbing, for example, is a good example. Someone who does any kind of exercise, you can tell their arm. You can see their arm fibers, and they are marked in different ways. It doesn't really matter for me. And I don't need them to be really fit. They can just be skinny, or they can just be kind of in shape. It's just taking care of yourself, or being active, and,
Right. Okay.
Being ready, where if we go on a trip where we're going to be in the middle of the desert, you're going to survive, and I'm not going to have to take care of you. I've had to rescue someone before, twice, from the ocean. I don't want to have to do that with the guy I'm dating.
How did that happen?
Because we went swimming, and he wasn't a great swimmer, and the ocean was rough, and so he couldn't swim well. So I had to rescue him and take him to the boat. But then I went back into the ocean, and I went swimming, and so it was beautiful in there. And so he got jealous, and he really wanted to go back in and see what was in there again. And without saying anything, he went back in again. And again, he drowned, and again, I had to rescue him. So the first time I get it, he didn't realize that he wasn't strong enough in that circumstance. But come on, don't freaking jump a second time.
Yeah. That was ego. He was trying to overcome his ego, like embarrassment, but he still can't swim from the first time. So that's kind of
how much can you improve in the last 5 seconds? It's not going to happen.
Kind of proves a little bit of stupidity too.
Yeah.
So suffice it to say that date probably didn't end well. I don't know if that was just a friend or.
No, yeah, that was that. We dated for a bit.
Oh, you did after? Even after? Okay.
It was many, many years ago.
Oh, okay. So loss of respect for him didn't stop you from dating for a little bit when you were younger.
This was towards the end. This was one of the eye-opening moments of.
So basically, you would say though, you would like a man to be someone that you think could help you survive if you're in a physical situation, right? It's like you being the one that has to carry him through the desert.
It's more we can help each other.
Okay.
That we both have surviving mechanisms where we can, and tools where, if one gets injured, we can help each other climb the mountain.
But you don't want someone that's who's helpless.
Yeah, I don't want someone who's helpless, who complains 2 steps into the mountain and who cannot do anything by himself.
Okay. That makes sense.
There's a lot of them, trust me.
Wow. Okay. So you've met more than one than the drowner, the drowner. Interesting. Even in Los Angeles?
Oh yeah, I get a lot of, we should go to a spa for the weekend. And I'm like, what about me makes you think that I want to boil in soup for 2 days? There's nothing.
Well, they want to get you to a spa and you're
but that's what I'm saying. One, you're not that interesting to be with you boiling in soup, just talking for 2 days. And 2, we're going to be doing nothing for 2 days. That sounds...
Yeah, just sitting there.
Just sitting there.
Yeah.
Getting wrinkled. Like I don't understand.
Okay. Now, is this a Spanish thing or is this a female thing or a little bit of both or whatever?
It's just a me thing.
Got it. Okay.
I don't think you can generalize this one to anyone.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get on to, we're going to get onto some of the grooming type stuff and then we'll get into the personality and the like, but I have some just rapid fire sort of things. Beard or no beard?
Beard, unless it's like a cactus.
Okay. Mean just unshaven or like?
No. Just those. There's a certain type of beard that's so hard that it hurts when you kiss. Oh, really? You know.
Okay.
So I do love beards. Big fan.
Okay.
However, if the hair is really, really strong, no, because that really hurts everywhere.
Okay. And what is it about the beard that you think you like?
I like manly men.
It's manly. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of that feedback.
I think it's also a thing of our generation. I think as females, we have a little bit castrated men because we don't allow them to grow as men. If you do this, you're being sexist. If you do that, you're being sexist. There's so much of that now they're trying to overcompensate with things like beards, and we're welcoming it because we need more masculinity.
Well, so it's funny you bring that up. That's a whole other, I want to do a whole topic on that. There's this guy, Jordan Peterson, this is a little tangent that talks about the emasculation of the males in our culture. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this podcast, aside from following your passions and carving your path, but it's also men these days are so emasculated. You can't be like the old James Bond, right? You're manly, you got the roguish charm, right? You can still go after the woman, you can handle your business. Like these days, it's just a bunch of wimp tards. That's just my opinion. And probably yours too.
Yeah, I think it's hard because we also don't allow them, It's one of those things where it's like, oh, if you pay for the check, you're sexist. But if you split it, you're stingy. If you open the door, you're sexist. But if you go in first, you don't have manners, Whatever you do, I actually do have a script about this. But because whatever you do as a man nowadays, you're gonna mess up.
Yeah. I think you just got to know yourself and just go for it and just.
Yeah. I think you got to be confident and just trust that. I think whatever you do, you're gonna want to do it from a truthful place and wanting to be the best version of yourself. And then if the other person doesn't take it, that's their problem,
Right. Okay. That's cool. I probably talk to you more on that other topic later. So back to the grooming thing. Do you like long hair or short hair? Short hair. So you don't like the long man bun type thing?
Oh, no. It doesn't bother me. I actually have friends who, it looks good on them. However, I'd much rather have short.
Okay. All right. Now here's one. What about someone that's a fuzzy bear? you can see the hairs coming out of the collar, and the back of the shirt is lifted up because the hair is pushing it back. So it's just hair all over.
Listen, if I'm gonna press my hand against you and I might lose it, that's a problem. This is not, back in my grandma's day, they used to say men are like bear, the hairier the better.
Okay.
We are not in my grandma's days. Okay. We have leaders. We do not need men to do that.
Right.
So no.
No. Okay. But so take the opposite. Let's say somebody that shaves everything.
Oh no, that's even no.
But not for a functional reason, because swimmers, right, will shave, or bikers, they all shave their legs. But someone just does it, but there's no reason for it.
No, that's also too much for me. I mean, that's one is a bear, the other one's a dolphin, and they're like
a dolphin. Okay.
It's just. I think, to me, a man that grooms more than I do, and granted, that's most men, because it takes me 5 minutes to get ready. So okay. I think I might have dated one guy that takes less than me to get ready. But in general, I find very, very unattractive men that I've never dated anyone who shaves everything.
Yeah, or what about trimming like
more hairy than shaved?
What about eyebrow? They tweeze the eyebrows. You can see that.
Oh, no, that's you want to wake up with that in the morning. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just scary. At one point, you're gonna end up without an expression. How are you gonna know if he's having a good time? Just like one thing going on there.
Okay. So, what about? So, I guess this gets to kind of fully shaved, but. What about a full manscaping where like it's Brazilian wax for men, which sounds painful, but there's apparently that's popular where full bald eagle, whatever you want to call it.
Why? I mean, I haven't encountered it, so I don't know. I mean, I've encountered men who shave down there, and I think that's fine.
Well, trimming. So it's just,
trimming is great. Trimming is great. Shaving is great. I don't, either way, like whatever. I don't want it super hairy down there either, because if I groom, you groom. Like it's
right.
One of those things where honestly, take care of yourself some
fashion. Yeah.
So like a little bit, I don't want to have to look through the jungle to find stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. But also for me, Louis C.K. at one point in one of his speeches was saying that females power through. Like when we're gonna sleep with a guy, at some point we just keep going. We'll end up. That's not me. If I get to a point where at some point I decide that I'm not, there's something that is not working out, I'll turn around and leave. I have no problem with that.
So actually, I usually ask this later on, but what would make men are always curious what decision process a woman goes into to say, I'm going to sleep with that guy, or no, I'm not going to sleep with that guy. Can you tell immediately, or does it take a little conversation? And what you're talking about now is like when you're actually there at the moment and it's not working. But what about even before then?
I think you're asking the wrong woman, because I'm half woman, half man. But
okay, what is that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I have a very, I think I'm very male oriented in making decisions in that way, because first off, for me, it's a switch. Either you turn me on or you don't.
Okay, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, which more females don't. They go into this. They have to get to know the man, and they have to all this stuff. For me. Yeah. I know the moment I see a guy, whether he turns me on or not. And that thing is very hard to convert one way. You can, and after I meet him, you can end up turning me off once you open your mouth. But, but the other way around, if you're turned off from the get-go, it's really hard to turn it back on. Okay. After that, there's a few things that will turn me off. If the guy is very... manipulative in the sense that he tries to move you around and move your body around, and not in a manly way, not like grabbing you and getting you against the wall. That I like, but in a very, manipulative way, just very sleazy and very not letting you any room to also do stuff, and just very getting it his own way. That turns me off. Or if the guy just wants you, for example, if he wants you, says things like, "Oh, I want you to come 3 times," or "I want you to do this," or "I want you to do that," but it's to fulfill his own ego.
Okay.
Turn off, things that are
selfish. That's like you're not thinking about the other person.
Yeah, which it ties up with the grooming thing. Like guys who groom down there, at least they're thinking about you. Guys who have the whole jungle going on down there, they're clearly going to be selfish because they don't give a shit,
Oh,
and many of those guys, they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I wish you would have done this or that down there." If a guy ever says that to me, I have friends who've told me a guy said that to them. If a guy ever said that to me, I mean, it's not that I would leave. It's that, he should thank God if he leaves alive,
Okay.
It's just
point. Okay, I hope the audience is listening.
Just saying. It's just one of those things.
Well, so now I usually ask this towards the end, but now that we're on the subject, what's your opinion on does size matter?
Oh, granted, I haven't had the experience of a really small penis, so I cannot say to that. But as far as I'm concerned, it hasn't really mattered to me as long as you know how to use it. And actually, when it's been too big, it's too big. That's when it matters to me, as far as I have been concerned.
Uncomfortable, you mean?
Well, because sometimes guys that just are too big, they haven't bothered really to use it well enough. Where sometimes it's just like too aggressive or too, and it can hurt. Whereas many other guys, they really know what to do. So it really depends on the person and how, also many people talk about the other person saying that the other person is bad in bed. I think there's also a big factor of how you two connect.
Right.
So it's not only like, it's not one-sided. It's how the two of you, if you're in the same wavelength.
Yeah, the vibe and all that.
Yeah. So to me, it has more to do with all of that than only with,
Have you ever been in a situation where there's there's physical attractiveness, but the vibe isn't there?
Once.
Some people, you got the only one. Okay.
Yeah. The vibe was there. It's just that the duration of it to me was, I don't like having sex for extreme amounts of time, and he did. And so I thought it might just be the one time because we drank, but like the second time it was the same and over, and I was like, no, I'm done. So that was definitely not being in the same wavelength. Like going.
That's not the same. So there was a vibe, but that was the wrong physical wavelength of physical interaction.
I don't like having sex for an hour and a half. That's not me.
Right.
That's another thing where I'm kind of like a dude, because I prefer short and sweet than taking forever and just, it's the same thing of, oh no, yeah, I just enjoy having sex itself. Yes, I do.
Right.
But you have it in order to have an orgasm, not just
to, limit. Right.
Yeah. There's a point where I just don't feel my legs and I'm looking at, are you done? Do you want to just go to the bathroom and finish yourself? Because I'm done.
That's it.
There's no way I'm going to keep going.
Okay. That's funny. So back to, I usually get to that later, but, it's interesting to talk about that. I guess men and women are curious about that. Just real quick on the grooming thing though. What do you think about tattoos?
Oh, I like tattoos.
You like tattoos?
Uh-huh.
Like full sleeve or just a little bit, or?
anything. I mean, unless they're super tacky. I had a guy once who bet a drink that he had my name tattooed on his back, and he had my name tattooed on his back, as in the words. No, please don't. I mean, no. Other than that, if they're I do like tattoos, and they have to be very tacky for me not to like them. In general, I think either they're attractive,
But there's got to be a limit, right? Like not on the neck. Like, do you like it up on the neck and all that? Like,
yeah, I'd rather not have them on the neck.
Right.
There's always exceptions. There's guys who can pull it off. The kind of convict one night thing. You can do that.
Okay. What about, we already talked about fitness, like being in decent shape, but not necessarily the body type. What about, so with personality, like humor, how important is humor to you?
Oh, you better have a sense of humor. Otherwise, it's not about me. It's about the fact that they're not going to stand me. Like, I'm insufferable if you don't have a sense of humor. There's no way you're going to be able to have a conversation for more than 3 minutes with me if you don't have a sense of humor.
Okay. People got to think on their feet around you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's people who take everything I say seriously, and then they either just think I'm a horrible person or just don't make any sense of what I'm saying, in which case they're the ones who leave. I don't have to do much.
Right. They'll just leave on their own.
Yeah.
That's funny. What about manners, opening a door for you, that type of thing? We're kind of going back to the more traditional style where a man's a man and a woman's a woman type thing. It's kind of some people say that's un-PC, like I can walk through the door myself, but it's just I think a nice gesture. I mean, it shouldn't even be a discussion, I think, but what do you think about things like that?
I like manners. I do like manners. I do like, I think there's such thing as an exaggeration. I don't need someone to run out of the car to open my side of the door. But if we're getting to a house, I appreciate him opening the door for me. I do like a guy, who makes sure that I'm comfortable, or that in a way, I mean, I did have, I do take care of myself. I know how to hang my own frames. I know how to be by myself, but I do appreciate someone who also has manners. And I had someone say something that I really appreciated on a date, because he paid for dinner on the first date, and then on the second date, he was going to pay for it. And I said, "It's okay. I'll get it this time because you got it last time." And he said, "Listen, I'm making quite a bit I'm making a ton of money right now, and I really don't have anything to do with it, where you're reinvesting it in your business. So it's not a matter of anything. It's just a matter that, the best thing I can do with my money is treat you to dinner."
No. Yeah.
And I thought, that's cool. You're the one who's making more money in this here, and I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, that leads into my next question of someone being a cheap ass, like you go get coffee and then he goes and he pays for his coffee and goes and waits in line and you're just standing there. What do you want, man? Like he just went and paid for his own coffee and didn't even pay for yours.
I mean,
I have a feeling that's not going to fly.
Yeah. I've had guys not even try. Like I always offer to pay, and I've had guys that when I'm like, "Oh, I'll get it," they won't even try. They'll let me pay because they're like, "Oh, you're European, so I know you like paying," and they won't even try. Which I'm like, well, there go your balls. But
there goes your balls and your opportunity with me.
Yeah. I think I do appreciate a guy who does pay for you. I think it does come. I think to me it does come naturally. Where, the guy usually does take care of you more on the first dates as a thing, but I do also pay now and then. And I think it's just a thing of, it has to do with being a gentleman, but also like who's making more money at the time. And also like, if you travel, you do split stuff. And it really depends. I do think at the beginning of it, I do like someone who's gonna take the initiative. It's more about taking the initiative, I think, than anything else. And seeing someone who's strong on his feet and fast, and who will be able to have a strong personality. Because if not,
What about if you're out at dinner and he treats the wait staff poorly? Like he's
that won't take that.
Complaining about his food, and then he's just like totally dismissive. Just, you know what I mean?
No, I don't think I'll make it through dinner with someone like that. I'd rather have someone cheap than someone who treats people poorly. I can't deal with that.
Have you ever been on a date when that happened?
No, I have not. I just don't think. I think I identify those kind of people before.
Okay.
A date. I don't think I've ever gone that far with someone to the point where it got to being in a restaurant. Or if I saw someone do that, I would call them out for that. I'd be like, don't. Water. I went to a place where someone said that, where someone was like, we were in Mexico, and he said, I'm gonna grab beers and I'm gonna bring them over to the restaurant because we were in Mexico.
Okay.
And I was like, no, we're in a restaurant. You're gonna ask if you can do that, even though it's an open concept restaurant. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do it, and I don't care what they say. And I told him, well, if you do that, you're going to sit by yourself. You're not sitting with me. They've been really respectful and really nice to us, and there is no way you're going to disrespect them in such ways. So you make up your mind,
Right. And what did he end up doing?
Well, obviously he asked for permission, and then he came back with his tail between his legs. There's no way you're going to,
Yeah. That's funny.
You can't do that. You can't treat anyone as... There's no one who's anything inferior, superior to you. I just don't understand the concept of why you would ever treat anyone in any possible way that is not as with respect. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. So another example I gave is you're walking down the street with this guy, and some old lady trips on the curb. And, one would rush over and go help and make sure she's okay. And the other would just keep walking. Just sees it, but just keeps walking. Doesn't help.
No, obviously. I mean,
I know
I would be running over to help her. So I don't know if I would even pay attention to the guy. But I actually, the same guy that drowned, he was a piece of work. I got in a fight with him because of that, because he asked me to go to church with him in Easter. And we were standing up. And there was a lady sitting down, and she had her purse beside her. And there was an old lady and a father with holding his daughter. And she had Down syndrome, and she was quite heavy because she was old. She was not a baby. So
it was a larger child. Yeah.
She was not a toddler. Either the old lady or the father with the daughter or both needed a seat. But we're in church. And so I went to the lady and I asked her to move the purse so they could sit down. And she got really mad at me because she was like, well, like, who are you to ask me for that? And so I didn't get into it with her, but I made sure they got a seat.
Right.
And he got really mad at me for starting up a fight in church.
Well, really, because that's not starting a fight. You were trying to help someone else, right? And you're in church, so you would think.
So that's the point. To me, I got really sad and offended. One, because in church, out of all places, people should be more helpful than anywhere else.
Right.
And two, because he's the one dragging me to church. So why are you not telling people to give up the seats? And instead of that, you're getting mad at me for doing so,
So so that probably didn't end well. This isn't the guy who drowned twice, right? Is
yep,
it?
same.
Oh God. Okay.
Same.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to come up with a name for him.
Out of all the guys I've dated, there are two that I really, really don't keep in touch with. He's one of them.
He's one of them. Okay. God, I'd hate to hear about the other one.
No, the other one's actually really sweet.
Okay. Well, and this leads me to the next thing. Is the other one in the friend zone?
What other one? The
friend zone. Like you're saying the other one's really sweet, but you don't keep in touch with him.
Oh, no, the other one is just, we just lost touch. It's not.
Okay. Got it. So the friend zone, how does somebody get in your friend zone? And if they get there, and by friend zone, I mean someone that is around you, doing stuff with you, but they're not making any moves on you, but they actually really do like you. It's not just an actual just friend. It's someone that they like you, but for some reason they're not making some sort of move to let you know. And then all of a sudden they come out and they've been in love with you this whole time and they never told you. You've already put them in the friend zone. So how do they get in the friend zone and can they get out of the friend zone?
Well, I think the friend zone, you just get in by not doing anything.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I mean, how long a time? Let's say, someone meets you, they're doing various things. So you're just kind of doing stuff, maybe he's just busy, but then he wants to, pay some attention to you, but your interaction's already been kind of mild. So he never made any move yet. And they're in the friend zone now.
It's kind of hard, I think, with me, because if I'm sexually attracted to you, you're not going to be in the friend zone.
Okay.
Like very, very, very rarely does it happen.
It has to do with sexual attraction. So is that what you're saying?
What?
It has to do with sexual attraction. Then.
Yeah. If I'm sexually attracted to a guy, I rarely does it happen that he ends up in the friend zone.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens that I sleep with him or I've been with him and then he ends up in the friend zone because it didn't work out.
Okay.
The opposite, where we're in the friend zone and then we end up together, it's happened, but it's very, very rare.
Okay.
Because and I usually it's not very common for me because as I said, for me it's like it's a on or off situation. And if I have a boyfriend, I'm usually focused on that person, where I'm not really have that antenna on. And if I'm single, if I'm attracted to you, I'm like, why not? But it's happened before where friends of mine have, opened up and
Did you not know? You had no idea?
I didn't.
Really?
In general, I mean, it hasn't. There's two cases. The ones that were like longtime friends, and they opened up, and that one is always rough because it's not going to be the same.
Right.
And that one I had no idea. And then there's the other ones where you really like them as friends, and it sucks because that one you can tell that they keep trying to move it into the other direction.
Little innuendos and little things they're trying to do, and you don't.
Yeah, and you keep telling them that you're not dating, and they keep trying to ask you on dates, and you're like, there's something about this message that's not getting through because I'm not dating.
I gotta look up
when you're not dating and the guys want to ask you out that you're sleeping with, and those are also kind of, that there's guys that you're just seeing and they're like, well, like, let's go out on a date or let's go out for the weekend. And there's something about the message that you very clearly specified that you're not dating that is not getting through. And then they complain that we're the ones that get attached. But it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what about like relationship types, right? There's the type where it's a sexual attraction and maybe you just hook up every now and then, and right? Or like, what's the difference for you between that or someone that you really like that maybe you want to have a long-term relationship with? How does all that work?
I think it's a mixture between timing, because right now I want to be single, and I really do want to be single, because I'm just focused on myself and I'm having a great time. Also, I've looked back at my exes and I definitely have a freaking type. They all look the same. It's crazy.
They all look the same?
I mean, not the same, but they do have very similar characteristics.
Okay. What's that? What are the characteristics?
Strong jaw.
Long jaw. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Short, dark hair.
Okay.
They're not the same ethnically, but they're tall. They do have strong arms. They are all into sports. Are into, and they do like travel, and there's certain characteristics. Then they're very, very different personality-wise. But yeah, it's
so the physical type thing. Okay.
Brown eyes, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So the physical thing definitely matters, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't pick them per se. I wasn't like, oh, he looks this way. It's not, it's subconscious. Right. But I think it does have to do more than anything with a mixture between timing and also really connecting. I work a lot on myself spiritually and emotionally, and so I think as you get through patterns and move on in certain ways, you attract different types of people.
Oh, okay.
So when you attract someone that's on your same wavelength, and all of a sudden you meet up, and then you have the same interests and the same and you connect at many different levels, and you admire each other, and you elevate each other, and you share each other's work and kind of levitate in it, and you respect each other's space. That to me is very, very important, because I need a lot of space.
Okay.
And you understand each other very well, and also the sex has to be great, because that's like number one for me.
Great sex. Okay.
That's number one for me. But yeah, I think it's a mixture of all of them.
Would you ever go out with somebody that's got kids? Because in today's society, it's a lot of divorce or single parents or what have you.
I mean, half of the men in LA are kids themselves, so I don't see why not.
So that is going out with a kid. Yeah. So how do you find
children? I don't see a problem with that. I think the only problem with that is I wouldn't want to meet their kids until we really decided we were moving forward into somewhere serious, because I adore children. So I would have a problem with meeting the kids, because
it kind of messes them up if they have to have this other adult introduced. And
I mean, sure, it messes them up, but it messes me up. I get attached to the freaking children, and then I'm the one who cries when they're gone.
Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's nice to hear you have a soft side.
Yeah, I'm definitely a children person. I've worked with kids for a while, and I adore them. But
okay.
But yeah, cool. No, I'm not. I think I don't see why children should be a problem in any way. Mm-hmm. We live in a society where people evolve in different directions and need to move on in different directions.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is great. This, this is the Manceptional podcast. Okay. It's about men carving their own path in life, following their passions, et cetera. But it's also about being a man, acquiring skills, and in this emasculated world, as we can talk more about that on another subject. But what would be your? You've kind of answered it. I mean, you've given us a lot of information here. But just to summarize, what would be your idea of a manceptional man? This manceptional man walks into the room. What would this manceptional man be?
I think
I didn't think it was that hard a question.
Well, I just think there isn't one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think making a list of things that we need to tick.
Okay.
Closes it up of so much.
Okay. Well, let's say general characteristics. So, it doesn't have to be check boxes per se, but, somebody that's, let's say, is a gentleman, someone who has humor, someone, I guess it's kind of check boxes, but I mean, those things are important to you, right?
Here, I'll say this. It does have to be someone who has a big heart and who's connected with his masculinity.
Okay. So not afraid to be manly? Is that when you?
Yeah, not afraid to be manly. And who's just very open in general to listening and to I think my biggest thing is someone who's passionate in general, passionate about whatever he believes in, passionate about life, passionate about being here, and about truthfully passionate, not fake.
Right.
LA, yay, let's do this passionate.
Right. But true passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how does, what about how does financial aspects fall into that? So let's say someone's totally passionate, and, we've all had starter jobs, but, they're just working for a minimum wage and they're passionate about something, I don't know, classical music or what have you, but you don't see them doing anything about it, or, or someone by the same token that's very successful, how do those things affect your thoughts?
That's not real
if at
passion.
All.
That's hobby passion.
Okay.
Someone who's real passionate, no matter how you put in the hours, it doesn't, if I think obviously you prefer to be with someone who's economically at some point where at least they can sustain themselves or they're stable, and even better if they're making good money, obviously, however, if you meet someone who's struggling to survive, but they're putting in the hours and really, really passionate about what they're doing, and in the positive side of it, they're not in the, oh my God, I'm not going to make it, this is so hard, this is horrible. No, they're in the, I'm making it, I'm making this happen, and I'm making this happen now.
Right. So they're on the journey, basically. They just haven't arrived somewhere yet, but they're
about to make the jump. It's just a matter of whether it's today or today, Yeah. And they're just fighting for it every minute of the day. I get that. I just want to see the fight. I don't, people who say, yeah, no, I ride maybe now a little bit, or then no, I wake up every day at 5 to start working. I want someone, I don't expect the same, but I at least to have discipline and to love what they do and to be passionate about it and to really work for it.
Okay. And, that's funny because that's kind of what the podcast is about, right? To, how do people execute? So the passion is one thing, but the discipline and the execution is the other half of that, right? Otherwise you don't get anywhere. So, that's a lot of stuff that we're trying to discuss. How do people execute? But as you're saying, that's pretty important.
Yeah. I mean, also a guy whose Instagram is all selfies and who goes to Coachella is not going to happen. Let me tell you. I'll add that to the piece.
Well, so what do you mean by all selfies? Like, because let me give mine as an example. I do martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I do stuff like punching the bag and little tricks I've found to try to do something better or to improve. So
those are tutorials. They're not selfies.
Right. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Selfies are pictures of yourself posting in different modes. So here's me drinking a glass of wine. Here's me with my new shirt. Here's me in a boat.
Okay. Okay. So
here's me wishing you a happy Monday.
So do you find many manceptional men here in Los Angeles?
Manceptional,
I mean, the type of people you're describing, you find a lot of them here. I guess it would be just like anywhere else in the world, right? But
I think everywhere everywhere you go, there's whatever you're looking for. So if you're focusing on conceited men, that, whenever I go out and I'm like, oh, everything there is in LA is conceited men. That's what I'm going to find. I'm going to end up talking to a guy who's looking at himself in the mirror while he's talking to me.
Right.
If I go out and I think everything there is interesting men, I'm most likely going to end up talking to someone interesting.
Okay.
Whether you want it to be great or bad, it's going to be great or bad. I think it's what you focus on.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That's cool. Well, this has been awesome. It's fun. Yeah, very interesting. It's great to hear. It's not just what you think is a female, but just overall the type of culture that we're in, and just it also covers general stuff, not just male female. But of course, we're always interested in the female mind, since we can't read minds, right?
I mean, careful with mine, because I think mine is peculiar. So if you generalize mine, you can get in trouble.
Well, it would be hard to do an audio podcast reading someone's mind. Like, they pretty much have to say it. So
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Good try.
So that's been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and I think it's great insight. And
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Care. Bye.
Bye.